Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is potentially repeating history again, as we're now forming this new signal that we need to pay attention to, but we're also forming new liquidity just below the price of Bitcoin in the immediate short term, which is revealing Bitcoin's next move, likely about to happen very soon, while Ethereum is currently retesting and also struggling at this major area on the price chart that we need to pay attention to, while Solana and XRP are both currently holding these crucial areas on the price chart. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and the super trend indicator is still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bull market. But on this weekly Bitcoin price chart, we still have a massive bearish divergence active and playing out for the price of Bitcoin, as I said months ago now on the channel, basically causing a larger cool off or a larger setback during the bull market. And the last Bitcoin bearish divergence that we saw play out on the weekly Bitcoin price chart was between these two highs right here, between obviously the price and the RSI, and what came next was a major pullback, a major cool off over the next multiple months, but not necessarily the end of the bull market. So keep that in mind. We're still playing this out, but technically not yet confirms the end of the bull market. And if we're taking a look at the 3-day Bitcoin price chart, obviously we're now starting to accelerate some bearish momentum, as I've talked about, of course, over the last couple of days. Essentially, as we started to see this pullback here, obviously we've started to move further away from a possible bullish crossover, which at least in the short term is obviously not good for Bitcoin. And looking in the past at other times where we've seen a slight increase in bearish momentum, obviously we usually end up seeing a little bit more bearish price action, sometimes a lot more, but at least a little bit more bearish price action as a likely scenario. So keep that in mind. But if we're taking a look at the daily Bitcoin price chart, we're still holding above this crucial area of support here, sitting in between around 106.7k to 107.6k. And so obviously it'll be important for the price to actually hold this as support, or bounce ideally even above that area, in order to actually keep this higher low intact, because obviously if we break below this area, would be breaking below an important Fibonacci area on the price chart, and would be creating a lower low on the daily time frame, which obviously would not be good. That would be bearish price structure. And so for now, that is still the crucial support to pay attention to at approximately 107,000. And as for resistance, I would expect some resistance at around 110,500. So really in between 110k to 111k, expect some resistance around here, as we've just obviously discovered over the last few hours, over the last one day. And if we break out back above that level right there, expect more resistance at around 113,500, a little bit more resistance at 114,500, and major resistance at give or take 117,000. And if we're taking a look at the shorter term, looking at the 4-hour Bitcoin price chart, clearly the short-term trend, short-term momentum, still very much bearish, as I've been saying every day since the moment we broke below 114.5k. In fact, before we broke that level, I said back around here, I said if we actually confirm a break below 114.5k, it's at that point we'll be ending the bullish trend and seeing a clear change in the price structure. If we're talking about just the short-term trends here, short-term bullish trend, now a short-term bearish trend from the moment we confirm that break below 114.5k. But even though, yes, we are within a short-term bearish trend from that point onwards, of course, we're now also forming a bullish divergence. Now, with that being said, we've not really seen a lot of confirmation. Technically, we have seen just one candle close right here to start to confirm the bullish divergence, but ideally, I'd like to see a little bit more confirmation here to maybe think about opening some sort of long position. But for now, we can see obviously not a lot of strength in the price of Bitcoin. So yes, this may end up playing out maybe in the form of just some choppy sideways price action, but for now, we're not really seeing significant strength towards the upside like this, or significant bullish momentum. And of course, that's what I predicted anyway in my last video. If you watched my last video here on the channel right after this drop off, I said right around here, expect the price to somewhat stabilize over the next 1 day or so, basically bounce around relatively sideways, maybe play out a very slight little bounce like this. But I said don't expect a lot of bullish momentum, expect the price just to mostly stabilize. And obviously over the last 1 day, that's pretty much exactly what has played out as predicted. And so now that that has played out, what do I predict right now? And well, right now, honestly, I predict the price to continue this sort of price action most likely for at least another day. So stabilize a little bit more, play out a little bit of choppy sideways price action, because usually after a volatile move like this, we usually end up seeing just a couple of days where the price doesn't do all that much. But if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we can actually see new liquidity building just below the price of Bitcoin. We have this new area building at around just above 108,000 at around 108.1k, 108.2k. So just keep this in mind. Obviously, with that liquidity right around here, give or take, it's possible at some point, maybe in the next couple of days, we could see maybe a slight little dip like this to take out that liquidity. But for as long as the RSI is still forming higher lows, obviously they'll just be forming potentially another bullish divergence later on. And then maybe in the next week or so, it's likely this will ultimately play out in the form of just a little bit of a relief. Once again, a bullish divergence does not always result in a massive bullish trend reversal. Sometimes it just results in a slight bullish relief, like what we saw a few days ago right here. We did have a bullish divergence, obviously, which did play out for almost a day, for just under a day, in the form of a short-term bullish relief, but obviously not a trend reversal. And so this bullish divergence and this liquidity are signals to watch out for that could perhaps play out in the coming days or over the next week, that sort of time frame. But just in the coming hours, over the next 24 hours in the immediate short term, once again, I do predict that the price is likely going to continue stabilizing a little bit, playing out relatively sideways price action. A bit of choppy sideways price action in the immediate short term is very likely. And remember, if you want to get set up ready to go to take these trading opportunities in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, you have to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And personally, I take a lot of my crypto trades over on Bitfinex, so I'll make sure to leave a link to Bitfinex below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim massive trading and deposit bonuses. For example, you can claim up to 120,000 USDT in trading bonuses here from a massive prize pool, simply just by trading crypto using that link. And also deposit bonuses. For example, if you deposit as little as $100, you get a $20 bonus, or if you deposit 1,000 USDT, you get a 200 USDT bonus onto your Bitfinex account. Basically free money from the exchange just by simply making an account, making a deposit, and trading crypto using that link. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check it out. Once again, first link below this video. And in case you're wondering, Bitfinex is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want Bitfinex as an exchange, there's also 2bit as another exchange out there that I also trade on. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to 2bit below this video. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can also claim massive trading and deposit bonuses. For example, simply just by trading crypto using that link, you can claim up to 10,000 USDT in trial fund bonuses and 8,000 USDT in actual withdrawable stablecoins. And so once again, if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, definitely check it out. Second link below this video to 2bit. And on top of that, without making any deposits or any trades, simply just by making an account using that link, you get a free 30 USDT trial fund bonus here. So once again, free money from the exchange to trade crypto over on 2bit just by making an account, and also 1 month free VIP 3 upgrade. So very cheap trading fees just by simply making an account using that link. And in case you're wondering, yes, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart here on the 3-day time frame, and right now, technically speaking, this short-term bullish divergence is still currently active, which means we still might end up playing out maybe just a slight little relief here in the short term in the Bitcoin dominance. But I do not necessarily expect significant bullish momentum based on this reason alone. Once again, a bullish divergence is not always a bullish trend reversal signal. It just often plays out in the form of a slight little relief like this is very likely. So in the coming 1 week, maybe 1 or 2 weeks, it's likely a lot of altcoins could still slightly underperform Bitcoin, but obviously it's not going to be a straight line. Like for example, today we're seeing a slight little pullback in the Bitcoin dominance, which means some altcoins are outperforming Bitcoin. But overall, over the next 1 week, give or take, it's quite likely a lot of alts, a lot of the major alts out there, not every alt, but altcoins on average will slightly be underperforming Bitcoin or doing quite similar to Bitcoin, not really having a major altcoin season. Don't really expect a massive altcoin season in the next week. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the 3-day time frame, obviously Ethereum is only just holding on to this very crucial area on the price chart, a very significant area on the price chart, sitting in between around 3.9k to 4.1k. And previously, this has been very significant resistance for the price of ETH, and more recently, ever since we broke out back above this area, has been important support for the price of ETH, as we can see with that major retest and major bounce from that area. So right now, once again, it's very important for the price to hold this level, because like I said in my last video, if we actually confirm a break below around 3.9k with at least a daily candle close, but especially a 3-day or a weekly candle close below 3.9k, and especially if we fail to get back above that area after breaking below that area, if that confirms, that would be a significant change in the price structure from obviously bullish into bearish price structure, which obviously would not be good news for Ethereum if we're talking about the next most likely multiple months. But obviously, at least as of recording this video, we're still currently holding this area. We've not yet actually confirmed a break below this area, which is some good news at least. But if we're taking a look at the 8-hour time frame, at the shorter term, clearly the short-term situation, the short-term trend is currently bearish. We're clearly already forming bearish price structure in the short term on the smaller time frames, forming lower highs and lower lows. And we just now potentially have a new addition to the bearish price structure, which is of course the price retesting a previous important area of support where we've previously seen many bounces from for the price of ETH, and we're now retesting this area and potentially flipping it into new resistance, confirming it as new resistance, as at least so far we are struggling at this area and possibly seeing a slight rejection here. And this area I'm talking about, in case you're new to the channel, is sitting in between around 40.60 to 4.1k. So expect resistance in this area, as we're already starting to find. But if we actually confirm a breakout with ideally at least an 8-hour, but ideally a daily candle close back above around 4.1k, obviously that'll be very good news in the short term. And in that situation, would likely see a bullish relief at least up towards just above 4.2k, especially around 42.50, give or take. Expect a lot of resistance around here. But first of all, once again, we have this immediate area to worry about, sitting in between around 40.60 to 4.1k. And it's possible that this entire bounce here in the short term is simply just the price playing out this oversold signal in the short term RSI. Obviously here in the 8-hour Ethereum RSI, we hit extremely oversold with that latest drop off here. So it's very normal to expect some sort of bounce or some sort of little relief in the price in order to reset the RSI out of oversold back towards neutral. But if we do not see a breakout back above, ideally 4.1k very soon in the next few days or so, obviously while this little relief is playing out, and if we, for example, hold underneath this resistance for the next couple of days, struggle for a little bit around this area, while all of that's playing out in the price, that is helping already to help to reset the RSI back out of oversold towards neutral, which can give us more room towards the downside later on. And so just keep in mind, at least for now, we're still within that short-term bearish trend, especially while we're still underneath around 4.1k. Obviously, if we break out back above 4.1k, then we could start to talk about a potential flip in terms of the short-term trend here, especially if we form some sort of higher low like this. But for now, that is still the situation. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 2-day time frame, Solana is pretty much perfectly bouncing at the exact area that I've been targeting here on this channel. Basically, from the moment we broke below around $230, from that moment onwards, I've been saying, first of all, we do have some support at around 215 to 216, but if we break below that level as well, expect to move down towards this area in between 190 to 200, and then expect a lot of support around that area. And so far, obviously, that has been playing out as expected. And so for now, we're still finding a lot of support in this area. But if the price of Solana actually confirms, for example, a daily or 2-day candle close below $190, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, in that situation, that would be a major change for the larger price structure. Obviously, they'll start to form significant bearish price structure, which obviously would not be good news for Solana if we're talking about the next multiple weeks, if not months. And so for now, while we're still holding this as support, it's entirely possible this is just a short-term pullback during a larger bullish trend, kind of like what we saw just here or just here, for example. Yes, in the short term, those were bearish moves like what we've just seen, but still within a longer term bullish trend, a larger bullish trend. But once again, as I've said many times here on the channel, that would potentially begin to change if we confirm a break below 190 and fail to get back above that area. So this is definitely a crucial area on the price chart that we need to hold above for the price of Solana. And as for resistance to watch out for, if we continue a little bit more of a bounce here, expect a lot of resistance at roughly $215, give or take, and also more resistance at around $230. And if we're taking a look at the 12-hour time frame, technically speaking, this bearish divergence has not yet been invalidated. So technically it is still currently active, but with that being said, and like I mentioned in my last video, we already hit oversold in the 12-hour Solana RSI. So like I said yesterday, it's very likely the price is now going to stabilize or maybe play out a slight little relief like this in the short term in order to reset the RSI out of oversold. And obviously that's already starting to play out as I talked about. And so obviously don't expect a massive high momentum movement towards the upside, but considering we did hit oversold on the 12-hour time frame, as well as running into a very important area of support, obviously just don't be surprised if we do end up seeing a slight little bounce here, basically a bit of a breakaway relief from all of the bearish price action. Once again, that's what I talked about yesterday, and that's what I'm saying again right now. This will likely continue at least a little bit longer, considering we're only just now exiting oversold territories here in the 12-hour Solana RSI. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, technically this larger bearish divergence is still currently active. We've not yet confirmed any invalidation signal to invalidate the larger bearish divergence on the weekly XRP price chart, which is something that I warned about months ago now on the channel back around July. And back then, actually, I got a lot of negative comments pointing this out, telling everyone that it's quite likely we're going to be in for a larger cool-off or a larger setback, quite possibly a larger pullback in the next few months over August, September, possibly even longer. Obviously, that's what I talked about back in July, and that was not a popular opinion back then, but obviously it has been playing out now, as we can clearly see. And if we're taking a look at the daily XRP price chart, we do at least have some good news in the shorter term, at least for now, which is the price holding this crucial area on the price chart as support, which is sitting in between around $2.70 to $2.80. And we can see previously over the last couple of months, we've seen many crucial bounces, many important bounces from this exact area on the price chart. And so once again, this is definitely a significant level for the price of XRP to hold above in order to avoid potentially something much worse, because like I've said recently here on the channel, if we actually confirm, for example, a daily candle close below $2.70, and then especially if we fail to get back above that area, flipping it into new resistance, in that situation, we would likely see a move at least down towards $2.40, $2.50 towards these previous highs right here. Or if we break below those levels right there, expect a move down towards the lower $2 area. Almost $2 could be a likely target if we actually confirm a break below this area and fail to get back above that area. But obviously, once again, at least for now, we're still holding this as support, which once again is some good news in the short term. And as always, XRP, along with a lot of altcoins, are likely going to follow very similar price action to what Bitcoin and other major altcoins are doing. So for example, if Bitcoin plays out just a slight little relief, maybe some choppy sideways price action, bit of a break from all of the bearish price action, maybe starting to play out the bullish divergence here in the next 1 or 2 days, of course that will influence XRP and a lot of major altcoins, likely playing out something similar. So expect the price to continue to be supported by this area, at least in the short term for the next 1 or 2 days, as a very likely scenario. But for now, obviously, we're still lacking bullish momentum, so don't necessarily expect a massive bounce like this straight towards the upside straight away. but once again, it's likely we're going to continue holding this as support for now. And if we're taking a look at Chainlink on the daily time frame, technically Chainlink is still within bearish price structure. Obviously, we have confirmed lower highs on the price chart and more recently lower lows on the price chart, officially confirming with a break below around $22. And as I've been saying since before we even broke below $22, I said if we break below $22, expect a move down towards around $19 to $20, and then expect a lot of support within that area, just under $20. And obviously that's exactly what we saw. We saw that move from around $22. The moment we broke below 22, we saw a move down towards just underneath $20 into the area of support that I've been talking about, in between $19 to $20. And for now, that is acting as support. We are currently seeing obviously a slight bounce from that area. And so continue to expect support at the exact area of support that I've already been saying here on the channel. And in terms of resistance, expect a lot of resistance at this level right here, based on previous support flipping into new resistance at give or take $22, really in between around $22 to $22.30, acting as strong resistance if the price were to actually get back up there. And now if the price ultimately breaks below around $19 to $20, what next for the price? And well, honestly, would likely see a move at least down towards around $17.50, but if that does not hold, the next significant area on the price chart is in between around $15.10 to $15.60 approximately. So basically just above $15, in between $15 and $16. That's a crucial area of support on the price chart for the price of Chainlink. But once again, the immediate support is still in between $19 to $20. And as always, expect similar price action for Chainlink as what I've been saying for Bitcoin and other major altcoins. So like I've been saying throughout the video, it's likely Chainlink is going to play out just a slight little relief, maybe a slight little bounce here, but don't expect significant bullish momentum like this. Just basically a bit of a break, a bit of a relief from all of the bearish price action, but still technically within larger bearish price structure on the daily Chainlink price chart. And once again, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, get set up ready to go using those links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim those massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto no matter what the price is doing, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.